Everything's going crazy. What could DDD have to talk about with Ganondorf?
Wow, those guys got a little better.
Knock, knock. How you holding up in there? The broadcast doing okay?
Yep,
You're not still hungry, are you?
I suppose a few more drumsticks would be nice. Ooh. Well, I'll take it that I like a crate load of them. And make it snappy if you want me to forget.
Forget what?
You only wanted to observe, you said. Don't you think that was a little much? For someone who was just putting on an act, that really hurt, you know. And you shot at Liz, too.
Oh, well, if I wasn't convincing enough, Lucario would have cut onto my ruse. And you're a tough guy. I was sure you could, take it. Yeah. I got too fired up again.
And you'll be roasted if I don't see 5 crates worth of drumsticks. No!
Yes, sir, right away. Hey, wait. He's in a cage! How did he just order me around? Maybe he does belong in there. Still, after all the time he's been in here, he's never looked this lively until now. Oh. Hey, Bowser, you have yourself another visitor.
Peach.
You have an hour.
Thank you. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Food's better than I thought it would be. And as you can tell, they're keeping me quite occupied with this television. Yeah, so far it's been pretty cushy.
Well, that's good to hear. Wait, is that Team Falcon? Whoa! Was that a legit team combo? When could they do this? Wow, they're actually good.
I know, that's what I said.
That'll be a load off for Daisy. She always likes to complain about Luigi complaining about his team not doing so well all this time. It gets kind of bothersome, you know?
I could imagine.
I'd sure like to take a crack at them sometime. A match with Team Falcon may actually turn out to be real exciting.
Oh, listen to you. Like to take a crack at them.
Don't you want to fight them too?
Hardly doubt we'll be able to. Even if I'm let out of you or not.
Yes, we can. We're a team.
What makes you think we can ever go back to how things were before?
Whatever happened to no one gets left behind, Bowser? We can find a way to cope with all this mess if we could just talk.
You're right.
No, I'm serious. I didn't come with Liz, Wario, and the others because I didn't know what to say to you or even Mario. There have been things going on between the both of you that I never paid any mind to, but all that is going to change. I want you to tell me everything that happened before in Melee. Don't leave out any important details.
That's just the attitude I wanted to hear from you. I'll come clean and fess up. But first... Meta Knight! You could come out to hear this.
Meta Knight? You were here?
I'll explain later.
You said that Mario told you a few things about our past, if I recall.
That is right.
Alright. Let's see if my side of the story can fill any holes.
As you already know, Bowser wasn't as adept a smasher as he is now. In fact, quite the miserable target of much ridicule and humiliation, such as his reputation as a bottom back in the day. It's almost the same story with any other bottom. But Bowser was quite particularly worse off because he was an incarnation of a long-established villain.
The constant failures of my past selves pretty much sealed my fate. I never had much of a chance to even try to make myself a career in villainy, if you will. I was just a sandbag that can breathe and move on its own. A fat piece of game sadists love to hunt for the fun of it. The only opportunity I ever had to even attempt to prove my mettle was to breach your castle, Peach, and challenge Mario to many fights, day after day, only to lose every single time. But before that, there was one point in my life that wasn't so bad.
Do you remember the crisis that befell the world of Melee before all this had begun? The day rain befell for our side. That day, a single trophy disrupted the fabric of space, and monsters from the Adventure Challenge rained down in our world for the first time. It was an unnatural phenomenon, the likes of which the world has never seen before. And the one who triggered it was not your typical villain.
There's no way I could forget that.
Of course, because it was Peach who had done it.
The previous Peach, mind you. She made history by breaking the tradition made for her by her previous incarnations and became one hell of a villainess. And get this, I helped her do it. I had kidnapped her one day, but little did I know that I was giving her the perfect opportunity to pursue her true calling. She was strong and merciless. I had no chance against her. At the time, I thought I had hit rock bottom for Peach of all people to beat me to an inch of my life, so I was prepared to die. But to my shock, she wanted to take control of what little kingdom I had and reform it as she saw fit. She allowed me to live on as her king, though I was but a mere figurehead to make her new title, Queen, official to the public.
You mean that was the Peach you loved?
She was truly one of a kind. You have to excuse me for gushing, but she had so much control of herself and everyone around her, not once apologetic of who she was and how different she was meant to be. Never mind that my kingdom was stolen from me, that I had become the captive. I never felt more attracted to her. It was like a dream come true to have such a beautiful, powerful woman at my side. And in time, I don't know what came of it, but she grew soft around me. I was nothing but useless spare baggage in comparison to her court of followers. But I felt like we made some sort of connection. I felt like I really understood her desire to break away from the same old routine her past selves made for her, and she said that she would help me to break away from mine. But good things never seem to last. I'll get to that later.
Why didn't I know this much about the previous me?
Probably so you good denizens of the Marioverse can save face in the history books. But I can say for sure that Queen was what made Mario so protective of you.
I could just blame Bowser and leave it at that. But if only I had kept a better eye on Peach, I wouldn't have lost her the way I did.
Then again, it was much easier for you to misplace all your anger onto Bowser, wasn't it?
What was that?
Let us fast forward a bit. Bowser was one of the last remnants of Queen Peach, and he had continued on back to where he had started. That is, until he met me one day. The day Fox and I had fought each other in an exhibition match, and I had emerged victorious. Bowser approached me, begging me to train him to be as adept as I was. And at first, I was reluctant, but I saw a little of myself in him. So, I took him in as my pupil.
And that's how he got so good in such a short time, right?
Indeed. I was impressed by how fast he understood everything. And that's when I thought he'd make a decent addition to our cause.
That's when Mew reintroduced me to Ganon, who was once part of Queen's court. They had formed an allegiance, saying that they were going to change the world as we were still preparing to transfer to this one. But in order to convince me into joining them, Ganon got Pichu involved.
Pichu?
Oh yeah, he was that adorable little Pokemon that shocks himself and liked to play with me and the rest of the girls.
We were both bottoms, so I was able to find a good friend in him. But Ganon, He had the gall to destroy his body to test his powers!
What? So that's why he suddenly disappeared? But how?
Wanna know just how dangerous the previous Peach was? You see, she had the ability to reach into one's body and completely pick apart your matrix from within. Matrices are the very framework of our bodies, so an alteration of any kind to it is a forbidden practice. Back then, if your matrix was completely destroyed, you wouldn't be reborn anew. Your very existence as a trophy would be erased forever.
We're that fragile?
It's more of a complicated oversight in our creation at the time. A glitch, if you will. We're made of stronger stuff in this world.
So wait, you mean Ganondorf was able to pull off that ability the previous me could do as well?
That's right. I personally don't know all the details, but Ganondorf had stolen Queen's quote-unquote blueprints of this technique and engraved it into his sword, and Pichu was his test subject. He used him to manipulate me into his clutches.
Ganondorf wanted to make Bowser see that the world was not worth living in. That as long as elitism and bigotry existed, none of us could ever be happy. And he succeeded. Ganondorf left Pichu alive and taunted Bowser into going out to see if anyone would lift a finger to help Pichu. There was no such person. Not you. Not anyone. Me? Bowser knew you were a doctor, and despite the bad blood between you, he went to you and begged for help. However...
I didn't believe him. I assumed it was another elaborate ruse to pull me away from Peach. But Bowser's been pestering me for as long as I could remember at the time! How was I supposed to know he was actually telling the truth?
A good doctor helps everyone in need. Was that what you had just said before? Truly ashamed to show prejudice at the wrong possible time. To defy your own rules in the face of a single person. And honestly, you were clearly stronger than Bowser at that moment in time. Even if he was up to something, what could you possibly have to lose? You made that quite clear when you showed Bowser the door, when he tried his hardest to take you there by force.
How did you know that?
Bowser was my pupil. I had always kept close to him as a part of his training, so I saw everything. And because I was psychic back then, I also heard everything. So I know perfectly well that paranoia had taken a strong hold of you back then. Despite how much of a bungler Bowser was, it was that same bungler that stole away the previous Peach. You fooled yourself into thinking he was responsible for everything that happened afterwards. Yet, while he was the key, it was the previous Peach's decision to open the door. I chose not to pry too much into your mind to find out as to why she thought the way she did. Because it is quite clear that you've done nothing to make her think otherwise.
Mario.
So, needless to say, Ganondorf had made me despise the world more than ever, and I joined him. How's that, Meta Knight? Does this link up with Mario's story so far?
It's all starting to come together now, yes. So, that's when you came to Mario one day when he was still looking for a third teammate. But that was also you could stay close to leak information back to Ganondorf.
That's right. My reputation worked to Ganon's advantage, so I wasn't suspected of anything at all. I was able to help him stay hidden from the heroes who caught wind of his actions. And with a little help from a certain someone, I even made it certain that Fox would be killed the same way Pichu was.
Why Fox?
Fox always had good instincts, and him being the top smasher in the world at the time made him even more of a threat to Ganon. So Ganon personally saw to it that Fox was out of the picture before his ambitions took flight.
So, you weren't able to bring her back?
I just didn't know what else I could say to her.
and I didn't want to hurt her either.
Kind of sounds like what happened with you and Wario. From what I keep hearing, he's always pining after you every chance he got, despite what you do to him. Must have rattled you pretty bad to actually see him furious with you for once. Got that bros before hoes mentality, it looks like.
Oh, shut up.
Trouble in paradise, eh? Need any fancy bouquets with the Zelda brand letter of apology? I'll commission Ivysaur for you. He'll fix you right up.
Like Hollywood.
It's your best option. You sure as hell aren't going to just drop the man pants and say you're sorry.
Oh, well, Wolf, if you consider this man pants, some actual feminine wows ought to be a real treat to look at.
Okay, you boys done double teaming me, or do I have to break your knees in every time you cross the line?
I'll discuss the limits of my kinks with you some other time.
So we wouldn't be walking around anymore. Crawling is just as feasible of a mode of transportation, wouldn't you say?
Damn it, Snake, when are you gonna let that go?
If you think you're a dog in wide open spaces like Green Hill Zone, I'm not gonna judge. Given your demeanor, you're nearly there already.
I was unaware of you owning 2 dogs. Did you, Wolf?
Oh no. Does that mean we're both on death row when this is all over?
I can't promise I'll shed a tear when I shoot you both. If we could just find that.
Chasing after an unseen legend still seems counterproductive, if you ask me.
Bowser being part of the creator's triumph was in itself a legend as well. Remember that he is but one of many incarnations of Bowser. They all have the same potential as the current one does. And considering that this world still exists to this day, it's clear that either those incarnations all failed to realize their fullest potential in their lifetime, or there's something we had that managed to triumph against them.
Conversely, when there's a solution sitting right in front of you, you would immediately take hold of that opportunity. You don't hesitate, just act. Opinions about me afterwards be damned.
I agree.
The situation has changed. We both know that. That'll teach us to ask for more information next time.
I thought about that for a while. Maybe we were meant to transform Bowser into that, so he'd be so powerful that he'd be able to fix all of this in an instant. But if that was the case, I'm sure the creator would have told us that from the start.
True. There are many things wrong here. But for now, we have no choice but to comply with the creator's wishes.
Just want to take a moment and say thanks for dragging me along on this adventure. I had fun.
Yeah. Sorry.